figure out that there's a difference between this one and that one, and what it really comes down to is that one just hungrier, I guess. I don't know.
The best press release ever.
Right. Right.
Oh, that'd be funny. All right, man. Yeah, let's talk rough fish. Let's talk about rough fish here for a little bit, because that is
Yes.
our fishing topic after all. If you are listening to this on Wednesday, this is typically the start of the fishing topic. This is usually where I will cut it off. You missed a lot of fun shit in the beginning. I recommend that you either find us on iTunes or you find us on iHeartRadio or something like that, and you listen to the full podcast. But if you're already on YouTube, it's there. You can find it pretty easily. There's a full version of this podcast. A lot of dick jokes and big fishing.
Yeah.
Tim, rough fish. You know I just had to go get the straight up Webster's definition of this. Here it is. Rough fish.
What? Yes.
A usually freshwater fish, such as buffalo or freshwater drum. They have that in there in parentheses. Okay. So I'll just leave that out this time. Okay. Webster's definition of a rough fish. A usually freshwater fish, considered undesirable as food or sport fish, and often viewed as a competitor for more desirable fishes.
That makes sense.
Like
yep, eating. Because they're eating the food. They're fucking with the food chain.
Is that the competitor part? Because that's the part I was a little bit confused on. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they're competing for resources.
Okay.
So they're like fucking up the habitat, and like carp is like, I'm gonna make this my own, and they're just rutting through stuff, and the other fish are like, we'd really like the weeds to stick around, please. And the carp,
right.
The carp are just like, whatever, bro. I eat the shit in the dirt.
Right.
Nobody likes.
And we
yeah,
we've talked a lot about carp before in the past. I think it was a full episode. I forgot to look, son of a bitch. But
yeah, no, we did for sure.
It was okay. So yeah, we did a full episode on carp, and that has always been my almost like, I don't want to say go to. That's when someone says rough fish right away. That's always my first thought. And when you look them up in Minnesota, carp, first one, of course. Then you got the buffalo fish, and dude, bullheads.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that they were considered. I didn't know they were considered like rough fish, but they're basically like little trash catfish, like because they're small. Right. People don't really care for them. Like a big catfish, you're like, what? I can eat this. But a bullhead, you got to catch so many of them, and they got the spines and stuff. Like they're just more trouble than they're worth a lot of times.
Yeah, because I know we brought it up. When you talk to like
certain people, they're like, "Oh, my grandma used to make them all the time," and you're just like, "Well, yeah, I mean they're edible and they're tiny catfish. I'm sure they taste good,
right?
But they're just too much work."
Yeah, I know there was an episode where you mentioned bullheads, and I was like, yeah, we got to do a full episode on those because they're so weird and like, don't really get them. Are they catfish and stuff like that? And they must not be catfish. I don't know that for sure. Like little catfish. Okay, yeah, you make a really good point there, but catfish are not rough fish, not in Minnesota. Like, looked around.
Oh no, catfish aren't.
No catfish.
Yeah, catfish aren't rough fish anywhere because they're sport fish because they're big enough.
Oh,
I think that's part of it. Like because people like to fight them. So like the bullhead, that's why I'm saying like
right,
because they're like a little shitty version of it. They're like nobody wants to catch these shit things. But like when you make them big
because
enough,
they don't do
like, it's not what I was looking for. But after you fight them for like a half hour, you're like, that was pretty fun. They're like, yeah, not a rough fish. That was cool.
Right. Good point. And down south, I mean, I'm one of these people, but down south too, they're eaters big time. Catfish are, you go catfishing to eat for sure.
Oh yeah, you can get catfish on like any, Texas Roadhouse, I think has catfish on the menu.
Oh,
So
nice.
there's quite a few spots in Minnesota you can go and get catfish on the menu. I think
Nice.
Famous Dave's had it on the menu too. I like catfish, man.
Sure.
Catfish is good. It's a
Yeah,
different
I'm with
fish,
you.
and you like prepare it different too. It's always like got like spiciness to it. There's always a little bit of heat to catfish. Like,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
well,
yeah.
most of it that I've had, but it tastes different. It's weird. It's like
No,
it's good. You can tell it's fish, but it's not the same as the other fish. It's not like
yeah.
that flaky white meat everybody talks about. It's like a little bit darker, and
Mhm.
for whatever reason, it's good still.
Yeah,
But
that comparison, the burbot being lobster, because lobster's so different than any other kind of fish. It's kind of meaty, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I kind of think I'm not
yeah,
comparing lobster and catfish, but like think about that catfish texture a little bit, like that kind of mushy, more muscly. It makes me
right.
wonder, is like, okay, is burbot like a better catfish? Because holy shit.
I don't know, man. Like I haven't ate it yet, but when they say like it's the lobster, I don't even know if that's referring to flavor or texture or what, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't
Yeah,
even
I
know.
never found that out either, but it's
So I
it's funny now that oh, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say it's something I'm like super interested in trying. And I would assume just because of their makeup, like a fish, just like that flakiness is I think it's a lot of how the muscle moves. You know, it kind of like their body has to go back and forth like
Oh,
that. So it's almost like plates that kind of like slide next to each other from my,
okay.
like how the
Yeah,
fibers hold the
yeah,
muscle together. And
yeah.
then like crab and lobster, it's like the other way. As I'm like making a jerk off motion, it's like this way.
So many dick jokes this episode.
I wasn't trying to. I'm just like it's like crab and lobster, and
I
then I
know.
look over at the thing, and I'm like, oh, look at that, what's happening there? Uh, but um, their muscles are almost like the fibers run the long way, like up and down the meat.
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
So,
Good
yeah,
point, good point.
I think the texture's probably gonna be different. I'm hoping that it's just the flavor. They're like texture's a little bit off, but it tastes exactly like lobster. Like, nice.
Oh, fuck yes. That would be the best ever. But yeah, obviously you can see on that list the burbot's not there. I don't know if it was before. I don't know, all of the necessarily list, because that's the thing too, is there's not a fucking list. Trust me. I
Right.
tried. I wanted to just come on the podcast and be like, so here's what rough fish are. Blah 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 blah, and just list it off, and then we would talk about it. There's no list.
Yeah.
There's no fucking list.
That's
I
crazy.
did
I
find
thought for sure.
a definition of it though, Tim, like a legal definition. Rev reservoir.mn.gov. It's the Minnesota legislature. Like I found the law and
Yeah.
it literally has rough fish in quotes, because that's how it's written in the regs. Like the word rough fish is what's used. And okay, I'll read it. Ready? So
Yeah.
I found what it means, like legally, what rough fish means. Rough fish means carp, buffalo, sucker, sheep's head, bowfin, gar, goldeneye, and bullhead, except for any fish species listed as endangered, threatened, or of a special concern in Minnesota rules. And then it says chapter whatever. So there's a list. There
Sure.
is a list there. But that so that's in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Turns out it's regional, as we suspected however long ago. Um,
Huh.
pull me through this one.
Okay. Here you go. I'm pulling.
Sorry, I had a cough. So, anyways, I know that goes a little bit back on my list of what I said. I was like, hey, I'll find a list and then. But again, we started open the show with burbot or rough fish. They're
Yeah.
not considered rough fish anymore, which means people were considering them rough fish, but nowhere in the regs, the legislation, did it say that. So it's just a definition. Usually freshwater fish considered undesirable.
Yeah.
Right?
So the one thing that I know about regulations though for rough fish is that when you have
Mm-hmm.
that designation on you as rough fish, that means
Yep.
people basically get to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yes.
Like
Yes, it does.
when when you're not a rough fish and you're a game fish, it's like okay, you can only like in Minnesota in the summertime, they're like you can only use one line. In the winter, you can use two lines, and you got to use them with these kind of lures, and you have to have these kind of hooks, and you can't have like this whole big contraption. And then like you look in the regulations for rough fish, and you're like, okay, so it's a rough fish. What can I do? And they're like, oh, fucking shoot them. You want to shoot them? You shoot them. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just pretty much gloves off.
Yeah, there's just whatever. There's just like here's a new thing that we came up with where we put a string on a bow, like the arrow in the bow, and then there's a fishing reel that we put on your bow, and then you like shoot the thing, and then you reel it in like that. Like for sure it's dead. You're not gonna eat it. You can like put it in your garden. Is that what
Yeah.
you want to do? You just want to kill fish and then put them in your garden? You're like, yeah, I suppose. Can I do that with a pike? And they go, no. You can only catch so many of them with a lure, and you can't have too many. You can only have one bait with the hooks on there. You can't have multiple lines on one line with the different hooks. And the thing is, they're just like all
Yep.
these rules and regulations for that
Yep.
one, and then the other
Yep.
one's just whatever you want to do, bro. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. That's what I have down. I was just like, you always have to check your regs because again, this is regional. In fact, I checked with Texas because the old Texas Parks and Wildlife has been a very good source of information, and it was all the same things. They have bowfin also on their rough fish list, which I don't know what a
Okay.
bowfin is. I didn't know
As
what
a
a bowfin really
dogfish.
was, but yep. I figured you'd know.
Yep. Trying to
Yep.
break that state record, son. Remember that's on the list.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember.
Which I'm just
It-
learning now that it's like a rough fish where like it has the actual classification. Like, so I think I have to catch it if I want to break the state record, but maybe that's why the state record's never been broke before. Because they're like
Because
most
nobody's
people, when they see a big one, they just stab it in the face. Just like I guess.
So did
Yeah,
you call it
what?
a bowfin in that episode? Because I don't. I just remember you saying dogfish.
I might have. I can't remember. I think I said bowfin. What did we put it in
Okay.
the doc?
I put it down
I
as
think I have it.
dogfish.
Did we?
I'm
I was gonna
almost
say I
certain of
think I
that.
have it.
Yeah,
I
I know
have
it's
it
on
somewhere.
realaf.tv. If you go right to realaf.tv, there's our fishing goals are right at the top. And
Yep.
break state
Break
record
state
dogfish.
dogfish. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might
So
have
I don't
said.
remember, but when I saw dogfish, I was like, yeah, Tim's gonna know, right? Like he has to know this is a dogfish. But yeah, so I didn't know. I look him up and it's like mudfish or dogfish. And I was like, oh, okay. So
Never
we
heard
have
him
those
called a
two.
mudfish.
Again, oh yeah, no, me neither. I've heard of mudfish, but I don't think that's what anybody was talking about. I think they're just talking about fish that live in the mud. So, anyways, the mudfish. No, the bowfin. We have them again, not on the list. Again, just proof how regional this stuff is. And back to that's why you always check your regs. But pretty much, if it's a rough fish, like Tim already said, you can fuck it up. The bow fishing, sure, go shoot it right in the side with a bow and arrow. Don't use your crossbow though. Something about up here, they just don't like crossbows.
Oh yeah, they only let handicapped people use them. It's like
Right.
some sort of they think it's an unfair advantage or whatever. So like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're handicapped, they let you use it, and
Yep.
then I
And
don't
then yeah, it's
know.
just regular. draw, pull back. Like there's no bow regulation other than that, right? Like, I mean, nobody does it, but you could bow fish with a compound, with a reverse. Fuck, why am I losing it right now? I know what they're called. The recurve. Thank you, Tim. Like you could go rough fishing with that if you wanted to.
Yeah. Do you go with a spear?
Nobody does.
No.
Yeah. Spear them? Sure.
Trumpet.
Yeah.
Try it. I'm the king of
Aquaman, that motherfucker.
Just say the wrong stuff. Oh, now I want to do that. Just like run fast off the end of the dock, jump with my trident, and scream, "I'm the king of the jungle!" And they just be like, "Did he just say the king of the jungle?"
I think he just said he's king of the jungle.
Oh,
jumped in with a trident.
This is random, right in the middle of here, but I can't wait anymore because I've been thinking about like when I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, "There's no good spot. Just do it." You know, it's not rough. This is George Clooney's tequila.
Oh,
that's
yeah, shit.
George Clooney's jam, and I made myself tequila sunrise, and it looks good for the.
It's pretty the there. for anybody who's
stir it up. It's just going to be orange.
So, if you're watching the video, ooh, that was pretty.
Grenadine syrup, and I want to drink it. See, I stir it up, so it's just orange now.
Yeah. But that was a very pretty mix you had going on there. Woo!
Dude, it's so easy to make. It's like one of the easiest drinks out there to make, and it looks so damn good, and it tastes pretty damn good too.
Is the tequila good, or did you just make a good drink? I know you already gave
the tequila's good. This is George Clooney's joint. Like I was looking in, what people are into. And this is the gold shit. I guess you want the clear stuff for a lot of mixes or whatever. But they were out of it at the liquor store I went to. And tequila's hard to find. But I looked, and apparently, just so you know, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret here because I'm an aficionado now because I looked at a Google page. And apparently, the trend in Hollywood is you get the clear Casamigos, which is George Clooney's, and you make yourself a soda and tequila, or however you say that when you're fucking fancy. And that's what they're having up in Hollywood. Is a Casamigos and soda. So now you know.
Yay.
And I'm like, that sounds good. Making one of these. Lame ass fucking good. It's not less calories. Yeah, but I bet it tastes like shit. Just soda and tequila.
It sounds horrible. You just
tequila and juice, bro.
Seriously. So Tim, I wanted to a two-part thing now. Back to fishing. 2 parts. Snagging.
Yes. Yeah,
and
sorry for derailing us. I just really wanted to drink.
No, that's okay. Yeah, that was good. I know. You should be but you had to do the intro. I get it. So snagging is a thing. That's how you catch rough fish, and you totally nailed it. That's how you catch the paddlefish. Remember when we were talking about dams and we were talking about the paddlefish, and you're like, I don't fucking know, snag them. Yeah. I watched a video on the Meat Eater YouTube channel, and they totally were just fucking snagging them. Yep. In South Dakota, they have a paddlefish season.
How much fishing do they do on there?
A decent amount.
Is there a lot
pretty
of
good
fishing?
Amount?
I'll just check it out, man.
Yeah, you should. It's good. It's not a ton. It's a lot though. There's like specific shows, I guess, kind of in a way, that go fishing. And this one got fed up to the top of my feed because of the paddlefish. You know how they're following. Google's always following your fucking shit you're doing. And so So first of all, had to tell you, this is why you're the fishing expert on that. Nice. And by the way, I totally fucked up and didn't call you an expert last. Like I was like, Tim, you're not an expert. It's like, that's not what I meant to say. It's like,
Meh,
you've been doing this for a
I'm
really
not
long time.
expert.
Right.
Yeah.
You're very open to new ideas, which is why we do the podcast, but you're also very good and experienced at this thing. So the word expert is just I think it's a tough word right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's up
Just
to,
because everybody
I
has
think it's up
Google,
to,
right? Like, come
yeah, it's up to interpretation with a lot of people.
on.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you
I
can
agree.
Google it and have some knowledge and stuff, but yeah, it definitely helps to know things when you're talking and then I just have answers, that helps a lot where I'm just not
Oh
like,
yeah, the
should we
conversational,
Google that?
right?
I do, that does happen sometimes, but yes, I wouldn't say expert, but I think well versed. I
Yeah.
like the way that sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And I mean,
And now,
I would
more
say
information from our well versed fishing fella or whatever.
right. But no, I get what you're saying. It's just like,
Give him
I
a
think
sound.
expert is like a title that you get given almost. And I mean, I would say,
Mhm.
yeah, he's an expert because you've been doing it long enough and you're really good and you got this shit off the top of your head. That's the difference. It's like yeah, that's why we do the podcast. So you don't have to spend an hour Googling it. You can listen to us talk about it and sum up all the hours that you've put in real life that I've put in doing the Googling already and get it. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
So anyways,
that's right.
snagging. Tim,
Yes.
what
Mhm.
would you ever go rough fishing snag style? If I
Hell
mean
yeah.
the
Yep.
paddlefish, I'm guessing.
Yes, I
Like
would.
right away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, if it's allowed in other stuff, I would
Mhm.
definitely give it a shot, but I don't know. Some of that, like, gets a little bit hairy to me because I don't know what the rules are.
Right.
Like, if I'm allowed to try to snag a paddlefish, I know that there's other fish in the river.
Right.
So, I mean, is
Like
that
what
just
if you
like
just snag a
collateral
pike?
damage then and it's fine? Yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
right.
I don't I that's part where I'm just like I don't know the rules on that. But hell yeah, I would
It's
love
too
to
scary.
snag a paddlefish.
Yeah, it'd be crazy,
Cuz I
right? I
think
mean, it's huge.
I mean, I know it's probably like a lot of it's probably in a dirtier river so you don't really see them.
Right.
But I'm pretty accurate at casting. Like so I think it'd be fun if you could see them like if you just see a shadow.
Mm.
Picture it like the old what is it like the big old bass and those where you can just
Right.
kind of like see that like black shadow under the water and you're like there it is. You're just like
Yeah. Those those
same
video
thing.
games where you would just see this
Not to
you'd look
mention,
at the
man, I think I
shadows on
told
top
this
of the
story.
water and then you just zzz, cast past them,
Yeah.
right?
Not
Yeah.
to not to mention I think I told this story right. Yeah. And I think I told this story on the carp episode
Mhm.
and where I snagged that carp in the back. I snagged one.
Yeah.
I had a
Right.
deep driving crankbait and I accidentally snagged that thing in the back and it fought like hell
Yeah, that's
because it
right.
was like
Yep.
wearing a backpack where it was able to face. I couldn't turn him around. He could just keep swimming. So it's like
Yeah.
that carp was nothing compared to how big a paddlefish gets. A fattlefish. Those fattlefish are getting big, and snag them and they just run with it, man. I can't
Right.
even imagine. Just like what kind of tests you guys using? Oh, we got 100 pounds and it breaks the line sometimes. What?
Fuck. Right. Right.
Just like you don't have to worry about the line. The rod's what breaks half of the time. Just like
Yeah, no shit.
Jesus Christ.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Now,
it sounds like it would be a blast. But if you snag him in the wrong spot, then it'd probably be easy. Sometimes you snag a fish in the side and then they just kind of
mm,
like feel like dead weight. You feel it move every once in a
you're just
while. You're
dragging
just like, oh,
it
okay,
the
I think
least
I got it.
hydrodynamic way through the water. You're just dragging a log.
Yeah. Dude, I don't think I ever told this story on here,
Oh,
but my very first muskie, I had no idea. Like it felt like there was a fish,
okay.
but I pulled him through like fucking 100 pounds of weeds.
What?
Like I couldn't move it, and then I'm looking at the rod tip, like watching it go like doing, 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 and I'm like, "There's something
Okay.
on here," but it's just like dead weight, like so much. I'm like an ocean fish where I'm like
Oh
reeling it up and
God.
then like reeling it down, and then just like
No way,
and then
dude.
yeah, and then we get it up to the boat, and then like the fish like finally realizes what's going on, and it runs and it like takes off from the weeds, and then I actually
Oh
got to fight it a
fuck.
little bit, but before then it was like a 42-inch muskie like in weeds, and I'm just like I
Oh
don't
my God.
know what this is. And he ends up like, this is the biggest fish anybody's ever seen. And then it turned out it was a 42-inch muskie with like 100 pounds of weeds.
Yeah, shit, dude. I don't even think I've heard that one before. That's crazy. I can't believe that.
Yeah, and that was one of those, when everybody's, when you're out with people and they're just like, one more cast, and it turns into like
Yeah.
5 more casts and everybody's
Right.
giving you shit.
Yeah.
My dad's literally like pulling through where there's like the buoys.
Oh, yeah.
Like this is the safe spot where you can go through. It's not shallow here in the middle, and
Yep.
he's like pulling through. I take one more cast, and then I fucking lay into this fish, and he's like,
No
we
way,
got to
dude.
go through," and I'm like, "You can't.
You
I have
can't.
something huge. I have something absolutely massive on."
Gets to the boat. He's like, "Yeah, you got a ton of weeds on there, you dummy."
No, he knew too, because he was looking
Yeah.
at the rod tip just like I was. He's like, "There's
Oh, okay.
something on there. Like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
we'll land whatever this is. Let's get it." And I was fishing for them. It was a
Sure.
big rod, big lure, and
Yeah.
something bit it. So we knew, and with all the weight, I think
Right.
everybody at the same time, like none of us have caught that muskie. So we're all just like, "What
What
is
is
this?
this?
Is this what it's like? Is this what they're like?"
Right. But you didn't snag it. I mean, that was all legit, but like the reference to what
Yes,
it
yeah.
felt like,
What?
right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. The reference to just be like, just fighting all that weight and just be like, "This is insane." And you're just taking forever and just, it sounds
Yeah.
like a blast.
Yeah. And
I would
actually,
love to.
like, it's sort of related, and I don't know enough about this particular fish, but the gator gar, it's a rough fish. I,
Yes.
they live in the Mississippi. They're up here somewhere. I don't know, but they're on the fucking list of. They're just called gar, but I think we know them as gator gar. I know them as gator gar because they look like a fucking gator, like that nose.
Well, there's different kinds. There are different kinds. We have
Oh
smaller
shit. Okay. Okay.
versions up
We
here,
do.
and they're gar. Yeah, down south, the gator gar are those big, massive, like 10-foot long, 500-pound fucking behemoths.
Alligator
And
looking
then,
fucking fish.
yep. And then we get ones up here that are like 5 pounds. Like that's another one. Like if you're ever wondering what they look like, you want to see them in real life. They have them at the state fair. They don't get
Oh,
that
okay.
big,
So it's not a
but
gator gar
they
then. You
look
don't think?
prehistoric.
Or
Just like, no, it looks like a little version of it,
oh, okay.
but it doesn't look like an alligator. It's not creepy looking like those other ones, mainly because it's not as
Okay.
big. But I don't think it
Oh,
has
okay.
teeth like the gator gar do either. Gator gar are fucking gnarly.
Yeah, yeah.
They are,
Seen
dude.
them
If I
at the
was ever
old
swimming, I
Sea
would
Life
freak
down there
out.
at the Mall of America. That's where I seen a gator gar. So again, maybe not the right thing, just gar. Maybe I said okay, gator gar, because that's another thing is gar are rough up here, and then I looked up, and they're like, no, not in Louisiana. Fuck no, love them. I'm like, see, there you go. Totally, totally how we thought this was regional. And it is, even here in the
Yeah.
United States, because, like, think about this. And I think this is what made us go, like, it's regional, right? And that's what made this a topic, or like made me want to do this as a topic is it's regional, right? Because carp are like big in Asia. And you're like, yeah, they're big in Europe too.
Yes.
And then same
Uh huh.
thing, gar. I started looking it up. Gar not rough fish in Louisiana. they totally dig them down there. And you're like, "Mhm."
Oh yeah, yeah, because they're I I suppose because they're dealing with the sport fish version where they're
Ah.
big, and they might even have different rules down there. In Louisiana, where they're just like it's a game fish, you can still shoot it, it's fine. You know.
That really, really good point. Yeah, because like they fish for gators in the South, and they usually hook them and then shoot them in the head, right? We've all seen that Swamp People show or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Right? They're just like, got a big one on. He's gonna ruin the whole boat. Yeah,
Shoot
they
that
got those
motherfucker.
billy clubs too with it. Yeah, they got the billy clubs too where they just smack them,
Oh yeah,
get them
that's
up,
right.
or the gaff. I think you can gaff sport fish too, but that's like
What's that?
you're gonna keep them, so you kill them. A gaff. It's like
Yeah,
a
why?
long stick with a hook on the end, big old hook.
Oh. Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like when you
Yeah,
tuna fish
gaff.
or
Yep.
when you big ocean
Yes,
sport
exactly.
fish. Got it.
Yep.
It sounded
Yep.
familiar. I just wasn't putting the
Yeah.
two together. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, and I think they got a lot of different rules down there. Like up here, you cannot use game fish to catch game fish, and once you
Mm-hmm.
get more south, they start allowing you to do that. You can use bluegill as bait to fish for like bass down south.
Oh shit.
You can't do
Okay.
that in Minnesota. That's illegal.
Right,
So you
right,
can't
right.
use
Again,
game fish to fish for other game fish.
yeah, that's why this is such an interesting topic to me. And it's just like this alone has like multiple episodes or something like that in it. I'm not sure how exactly to say
Right,
that.
right,
But yeah, it's just like, okay, we got a guy on from Louisiana. What do you do when you rough fish? Here's someone from Montana, which by the way, I tried to look up other states like Montana, Alaska. I couldn't find anything. It was very weird.
right.
I don't know why, but I
Yeah,
couldn't
that
find
I
anything.
don't know, man. I don't know. I've never looked into it myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes stuff is hard to find, dude. Like
Oh, yeah. Well,
you got
I
to
think it
know the
comes
right
down to
questions to
like
ask. That's
there's
what I'm learning with ice fishing too. Where I
right.
was trying to learn about ice fishing all this time, having a hard time finding information. And then I like get like little inklings, little tidbits here and there, and then I like, "Oh, I should ask that." And then I ask specific questions to Google, and they're like, "Here's the information." Like, "Fuck. Why did you tell me this when I asked about ice fishing before, Google?" And they're like, "You didn't ask this question before." You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. And yeah, and that's
Oh,
exactly it. That's what this is
I
like.
think we're having some
You
connection issues.
have a hard time. Yeah, we are having a few connection issues. We'll get through this here though, because we'll wrap it up soon. So God, I hopefully this is all working. From what I can see, it looks like it's working. Anyways, so I'll just keep going. But yes, Tim, that's exactly it. Is like there's so much regional information on this, and there's so much I guess lack of regulation like we talked about, so,
Mm,
yeah, you could go
yep.
just regular old angling for carp, but you could also go shoot it in the side with a bow and then reel it in with that sweet
Right.
adapter that you
Right.
put on your compound, you know? And
Yep.
since there's like no regs, essentially, it's hard to find information on the internet because it's not documented. And nobody's writing about it because they're trash fish, like you already alluded to. So nobody gives a fuck. They're like, I don't know.
Right.
Don't care. Why would I put that on the internet? No one gives a shit.
Right.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think it's very weird and interesting.
I think it is too, man. I just very focused on catching game fish at the moment. But rough fish sounds like a
Yeah.
blast. Like if you get some free
Yeah.
time. Like if I was a guide all the time, for sure,
hmm
I'd be
Oh,
like,
really?
when I get a weekend, I'm like, I'm gonna go shoot fucking fishing with a bow. You know, doing the same shit. Like, or because you probably
Sure.
see them while you're out there. Like I've been
I never
passing
thought
by
of that.
this spot all the time. I keep seeing these carp. I'm gonna go shoot some of these motherfuckers.
Right. Yeah, no, I never even thought about that. That's a really good ass point. I never thought about that. But why not? Of course, if that's what your day job is, right? And then on the side, you're like, yeah, I don't know. So then on the weekends, I go hunt rough fish.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Crazy.
Everybody's
Yeah.
like, "You want
What
to
a
go
thought.
fish for walleye?" Like, I've been fishing for walleye all week. You know, let's go do something different.
Oh, right. That's funny. Oh, shit. All right, man. Well, let's see if we can wrap up this fishing topic. Pause the feed for a second. See if that'll get our connections back in line. And then we will take this into the second half where I have the weirdest topic, but we'll get into it. Sports inspirations from our childhoods, like sports icons of our childhoods.
Sports.
It totally comes, yeah, off of, we're spinning off of the last one because all this Olympic stuff is still winding down and just
Yep.
made me think of that. So I thought I'd bring that to the table. Wanted to have that talk with you. So we are going to get into the break right now. And then we're going to get into the second half, the random take, as we call it here on the Real AF TV podcast, where we talk about sports inspiration from our childhood. Hit the break.
Yep.